Poducer.
Dude, that's what we're here for. I'm like, tell me about your problems. And we'll talk.
Oh yeah.
No. I'll do a little intro and then we can get into it.
Nice.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to Poducer, the podcast for producers. My name is Jerry, and today we're joined by Future and Daggz.
Hey,
what's up, boys?
Hey. What's good?
What do you call that thing? The pink thing?
This is the cube of the cult of Cube. He's
like, I got cubed yesterday, and I got cubed in fucking
Denver,
Atlanta.
right?
In Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
What does it mean to be cubed?
I don't know.
So nobody really knows, but they're just really fun to have, and I love that they've made lore around it. I was on my way to... On Valentine's Day, I was playing an after party and my crew was like, we gotta go, the Uber's here. And I was like stressing because I'm high and trying to figure out where all my stuff is at the booth. And I got stopped dead in my tracks. Someone's like, yank. And then they're like, I want to give you this and induct you into the cult of Cube. I'm like, the Uber can wait. Cool.
I don't know what's happening,
it to me.
But I
what's the process? And I'm just like being super polite, even though I know I gotta go because I ever since I saw them in person on another tour, I was like, I want one of these because I need a little stress squeezy, and it's so worth it.
It is satisfying. I want one. Yeah.
That sounds like exactly what happened to me. Except for I met one of the guys who apparently is part of the OG crew of the Cube. His name was Weave, and he was at Denver last night, and he gave me this cube. And he was, he was really jazzed up about it. I don't know what the lore is still.
It started with Grizz and Subtronics, and then, everything else in our world trickles down into the...
the trickle-down economics of bass music.
Bass trickonomics.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a track.
It's been memified in some way,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware, but I'm
it's
glad.
It's a stress ball, you're doing what you're supposed to do with it, I think,
very satisfying.
Once you hold one, you're kind of like, I'm locked in, and I could definitely have one if one came my way.
Yeah. I was telling you, I'm printing fidget toys, and it's the new addiction.
I don't know where I put it, but it was sick. It's probably in the other room. But
that was a craze that popped off, and it's kind of, I don't know what's going on with that.
It should stay. I don't see it.
Where's the spinners?
Fidget toy? Oh yeah, the spinners.
Yeah, they were like everywhere.
We're talking about a broader category, so just like anything you can fidget with in your hand. They're at festivals now, and I've held on to so many because I love it.
That's a big one. The smaller ones I actually think are a little bit more practical for fidgeting. That's like kind of big.
That got flagged in TSA. So
and they said it would too. They were like, the little ones don't get flagged, but the big ones do. So
what?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's liquid.
Jelly.
I don't know. It looks alien. Maybe they think it's like a national security.
Like, what is that? Plastic.
Haven't you heard aliens are here?
I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I want to believe it.
To the TSA person.
Oh yeah.
This is my alien.
Okay, so something we always do on the show is I ask you guys, what was your first concert? And since neither of you have been on the show, we can do this.
Sick.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nick?
There's a couple answers here too. There's like, I got dragged to this show by my parents. The first one that I went to on my own volition. My first electronic show. Yeah, there's a few.
The ones that I think back to in Detroit when the Palace was a thing, I can remember a Backstreet Boys event.
Hard.
Yeah, like the 2000s like Millennium album. I was super into that. And then I know I went to like a Power Rangers thing, which was
I definitely did that too.
Kind of, I don't know if it was at all a like musical show, but the Backstreet Boys ones, and I was everybody. Yeah, that was me. I was like 4 or 5.
That's incredible. Yeah, I have heard the
5?
Wait. No, I'm thinking of the.
What? There's no way.
Yeah, that wouldn't be right because they had that Millennium album. I would be like 9 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How old are you?
35.
Yeah, we're the same age.
Oh, we are
9 or 10. So,
yeah,
man, Backstreet Boys are that old?
Yeah, they had the Millennium album, which was like
2000. Come on,
it would be Millennium. Yeah,
wow, time.
I know. Everybody,
time.
Just thinking of that G. Jones song.
Yeah, time. Exactly.
I love that song. That album was so sick.
I actually want to talk. I want to say my electronic music thing. Though.
Oh, what was? Yeah.
Because I feel like I probably went to some random stuff like that as a kid that I can't remember. But the most memorable thing, my first exposure to electronic music, weirdly, wasn't until I was I knew of it, but I never went to a show. I was 19 and I went to Electric Zoo. And that was my first exposure to like live electronic music. And at the time I just got to college at Fredonia, and my friend was a senior there, and he was like much more in the know on these things. And so he was going to send it. He was bringing me along because I started to get into it, you know, Daft Punk and Tiesto and Benny Benassi. I kind of moved right into that space. Like I was like loving all the, you know, Ed Banger Records and Mastercraft. I got into that Euro electro stuff. So I went to Electric Zoo. These are the people that I saw at Electric Zoo: Diplo, Avicii, Skrillex. This was like a mind-blowing experience. You know?
Electric Zoo's the one in New York, right?
In New York, yeah. Okay. And it was great. It was like
those first ones really like, you know, hit like a nerve.
When you go to Europe for the first time, you get that culture shock. That was like a culture shock experience, like going and seeing that. Do you know who DJ Mehdi is? Mehdi. He died. I think a building fell on him, which was pretty awful.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like a roof. I know it's a
little
grim. No, he was at a.
No, I'm sorry,
dude. A roof caved in. He was like on a roof and it caved in, but he was a legend.
That's
he was
so
part
sad.
of. I think he was part of like the Ed Banger Records crew, like, you know, the Mr. Oizo, like that whole era. You know,
like a warehouse
Sebastian,
incident?
like the French like electro house type stuff, and Mehdi was part of that A-Track when like A-Track popped off, kind of in that beginning phase. But Fool's Gold, like. DJ Mehdi was there. There were so many incredible performances at that thing, and it's burned into my brain, you know. So
do you remember who like closed out?
I don't know who was like the highlights. I mean, dude, I think it was Skrillex. Actually, he headlined. That was like right after. I think Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites or whatever kind of happened that year. So he was like, that was like a crazy
2008. No, 2011.
No, was that 2011?
I kind of caught on to the wave a little bit after that. Album dropped.
Like, so I was 19. This would have been 2009 or 10. So this might have been even earlier than Scary Monsters, but something like that. But
I was still in my heavy metal phase.
Hell yeah!
No electronic music at that point for you as much,
dude. My brother and everyone tried to get me to go to the early Grizz shows at Michigan State University, and I was like, I'm not into that shit. I'm into metal.
Yeah,
I would have probably been way more tapped into the Grizz thing if I had just gone with my friends.
Nah, but the metal to bass music pipeline is strong.
Yeah,
most people say that they listen to metal. And
even people like Zed. Like, I know I think I read that, like, and he's a pianist, and it was into like the metal. Like, metal just has an energy that I think translates well to the full range experience of EDM and headbanging a little bit. Like, you can pretty clearly see that now, but I thought it was kind of crazy. It took a breakup for me to get into to like just shed all the stuff I was listening to and be like, I got to go to a show. And of course, I guess this is kind of in line with what you were talking about. I went to a Claude Von Stroke show, and my friends were like,
your first electronic, okay?
Claude Von Stroke, and interestingly enough, like a full circle, like he and I are Barclay Crenshaw, like are friends now through music, and I love telling that story.
That's cool.
I was just like, my high school friends were like, "Oh, you're looking for something to do? Come back, hang with us. We'll bring a bag of Molly." Never had that before, and I ended up licking the bag, and I was like, just like fully into it.
Yeah, dude.
And then the next thing I went to was like Skrillex New Year, so I was like,
"We were in.
This is metal enough for me."
Yeah.
Then he did everything with Korn. I was fucking sold. That Korn and Skrillex crossover was really cool for me.
There were a few tracks, right? It was like not an album, but like an EP of Korn, Skrillex stuff.
Korn was also sick. Yeah, dude, it's funny. We grew up same time, like exposed to the same kind of stuff. Like for me, I was indie similar. Rock, like super into The Strokes is still my all-time favorite band by a long shot. Live.
Strokes are fire, yeah.
And
so you are from Michigan, and are you from New York?
Yeah, Rochester, New York.
Correct.
Okay,
I'm from Rochester, Michigan.
What?
Are you actually?
Yeah. Did we just become best friends?
Whoa! Yeah. We must have said this before.
Both Rochester?
Yeah, Rochester
That's
boys.
That's kind of weird. I don't know.
The dads in bass music
are both from Rochester.
Rochester.
We'll get into that. How did you guys meet? Was it touring? Was it like at a show?
Did you do the Caverns one time?
Yeah, I
with
think
Closey
that was it. I think that's what we met at the Caverns. This was kind of more in the beginning. You were much more well established at that point, I feel like, at least compared to, you know.
Did we play the same day?
I don't know if we did.
It was like a 2-dayer thing.
Yeah, maybe. But I think I met you and Ellie. I think it was, maybe. I was there the whole weekend. So we just met at some point then.
Yeah.
It was dope. That was such a
Yeah,
I was not expecting a caverns offer,
Yeah, with the
2 years into the
caverns,
project.
Suppose
or
he
whatever.
pays good attention to like
Yeah,
what she
dude.
likes.
Is
Yeah.
the cavern still happening? I'm not seeing bookings and stuff. Maybe I'm just not in the
Yeah,
algorithm of it.
I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
that
so.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it seems like an awesome venue. I'd want to go at some
Yeah,
point.
acoustics are kind of wild. It's a very it's an incredible environment to be in, and it's a very unforgettable like experience. I mean, it's weird acoustically. It's like
It's a
how
cave.
are you
in a
going to get
cave.
right? It's in a
Yeah, I
cave,
don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, how are you gonna do that? But it's sick. I mean, I would go back in a heartbeat and do something there again. So
Pretty cool.
maybe that'll happen. We'll see.
Sick. Okay, so we got some of the formalities out of the way.
Sure.
One of the big things we did want to talk about, which is that you're both dads.
Yeah.
And really, I think the main question I had for both of you was just, like becoming a dad, what is the biggest thing that changed? People always talk about how like you don't understand until you become a dad or whatever, a parent. Was there anything that switched quickly? Was there something that developed over time? Obviously, the thing that is apparent is like it's not just you anymore or you and your partner. It's you got to take care of something else.
Want to hit that first?
I don't know. You go.
I think
both
the
just like
question
the
is-
weight of the answers. Like,
I think the question is more,
I just won't
what did you
shut up.
learn
I don't
about
know.
yourself?
I got this.
Yeah, you go first.
You like over the course of this entire experience of being a dad, you get a lot, but you're also a lot is taken. So it's a lot of it about sacrifice, but I would say that the coolest part about it is that like there's only a certain only parents are going to know what this kind of love is like. And you can kind of get there with owning a pet or being an uncle or an aunt, but like it unlocks a certain type of love that you wouldn't feel otherwise, because this is like you incarnate with your favorite person, and it becomes like this project that you never could have anticipated would be taking up. I mean, you kind of hope that it takes up your entire being and your mental capacity, but like it nothing can really prepare you for it, that's for sure. But it is really special to like come home to a family and someone who is like just so stoked to see you. Like when you get the daddy, it hits.
Yeah, all those
That
dad
seems like
cliches
that
are
hits.
super true for sure. All those cliches,
Yeah.
they're all true. It's really funny.
The cliches are true.
Yeah.
You have to become an expert, like expert level time management is
Yeah.
required.
For sure, that's part of it. I'll say, yeah. I mean, man, I don't know. There's so many things to say.
Ryan, can you just grab it right here and pull it just a little down? Pull it down slightly.
I like this.
Yeah,
How's
that's
that?
good. That's
Good?
good. That's good. I just
Oh,
want to
yeah.
see that face.
Oh, true. Don't hide behind the mic, Dad. Yeah, I think the first 6 months are really the part that is the trickiest, because you're just strung out, man. I don't know. It's like it's a little scary. They get sick. It's concerning. Once you get past that part, though, like you said, give and take. I mean, you get so much more than like, yeah, you have to give some time, but there's so much more I get. Living vicariously through him. Like the excitement watching him light up about life is. I'm more excited to see him do that than I am for my own excitement, my own thrills in my own life. Like I light up watching him light up about stuff, and it's like you really become like a child again. You kind of relive your childhood vicariously through them, and it's like a powerful. It's like it's a love, but it's also just like I don't know. It's greater purpose and that responsibility. It adds so much more meaning. All that, like I said, the cliches are all super true.
Such a ride.
And it is, yeah. And I think time management and all that stuff, is very important. I think, all the other things that are obvious, like having family around is extremely helpful. And, having the ability to have mom and dad both present, which is not always easy to do, in the modern world with how expensive it is and how jobs work and how little it seems like our government seems to care about childcare and taking care of people. But I do think like, if you're gonna do it, like being around family, being in a community situation where you have people to lean on and resources is super important. And I really have that. I know
tribe.
you do as well, with Ellie and your family, and I do with mine, and it makes a world of difference, to do this, especially as an artist. Like there's so little stability, everything ebbs and flows, everything is so inconsistent that part does make trying to be a parent like a little bit more stressful, because it's not like you have this foundation to depend on or
you can't
reliable.
clock out at 5.
Yeah, and so in that way it's like harder, but it's made up for by, I think, having a good solid, family structure and people to lean on in your immediate orbit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
like it takes a village. Another cliche. It is very true.
Yeah.
And if you have that village, no matter what it looks like, if it's just like friends supporting, like kind of just like any kind of nuclear family the way that they are now, like if you have that support, it is very, very helpful, because you still want to live your life. And waiting until my 30s to have a kid, I think made a huge difference, because we could like really establish our careers and get that going and try everything we want to do, get the travel and everything out of the way. And I really feel for people who had do it too early. Like there's no right or wrong time, but like I would wait until you have like the most rock solid partner ever, because like it will make the team dynamic way more important.
Yep. I want to add something to that too. Totally. It's interesting to think about, like, there's always this notion, this fear before you have a kid, that once you do, I'm not gonna be as inspired. My output's gonna go down, or like what's gonna happen to my creativity, or what's gonna happen to my ambition, or whatever. I'll tell you what, I've never felt more productive. I feel extreme. I mean, the first 6 months again you're strung out and you're not gonna deliver very. Your energy's not really there, your focus. But at this point in my life, I feel as inspired as ever to create. I feel as ambitious as ever, not only just to do it for the sake of family, but I haven't lost a step at all, like creatively, I feel like. And I think a lot of artists or people in the musical world worry that having a kid is going to change that focus in a negative way for them, or it's going to take a little bit of that away because they're not so focused on themselves anymore. But I tell you, I don't believe that's the case. It's not how I feel at all. I don't know. I'll speak for you, but how do you feel about that?
I remember when River was born, my son, like 18 months ago, the writer's block that I had just evaporated. So I was like writing some of my best stuff, and like some of it is on this EP I just wrapped up today. And a
nice
lot
segue to the plug right there.
Oh yeah, let's look out.
Shout out.
Look out, Bass Rush. So that will. That'll. Never mind. I'm going back to the baby part. So it unlocked a lot of like creative blocks when I had the kid, and you have time to work, because like you're strung out, but there's nap times. Your days just kind of shift around. Those first 6 months are a big haze.
Shout out naps.
And I would say now, I think because of how much I've been trying to take on, I really started slowly, but I've reached this point where right now I think I'm like on the brink of burnout, because I tried to do a full scale tour and I had done half scale tours since I did this full scale tour. The Chicago show tonight is one of them. And then a Mission Ballroom show with one of my best friends, Recno, and then an EP there and my own EP. I just started saying, like, I went into my old tendencies of saying yes to everything. And now I reached my limit where I'm pretty close to being burnt out, because this was like a lot happening at the same time. And I'm glad that I have my management really helping me and everything. My managers tied me in with some therapists, and I'm finally going to therapy to try to like help my executive functioning and like procrastination, like the habits I've fallen into. Like the burnout has manifested into a bunch of things I like want to try therapy for. So I've gone to 2 sessions, and I think like I'm digging into a lot of good stuff, but I will never blame having a kid, and that's not like how I ever want to look at it. But when you have to kind of understand where your limits are, and I think I've finally got there to understand it. But so now I can kind of revert back to, this is how much I can do each month. This is how much I have to write each month, so I don't fall into this like I did too much scenario and reach a burnout. Because the worst thing you want to have is like when you're providing for a family now, like you can be burnt out, but like you just have to understanding your limits is important too, I guess, is what I'm going for, because now I've reached this point where I'm almost there, and I want to scale back to make sure I'm present, also writing, not burning myself out, and then still touring. So you just kind of have to find like the magic cycle for everything in your your work.
Let me ask you this, because like I understand, like when you're overwhelmed for myself, I'm like, yo, fuck it all. I don't even care about any of it because I've hit that point.
Yeah.
But out of those things, what is the most taxing? If I were to just guess, it would be touring.
Yeah, I come from a place where I worked in corporate for a little while, and so I tend to get my hands in everything project-wise if it's not going exactly how I want it to. So I'm working on micromanaging less, and when I micromanage less, that's my big crux right now, where I think like once I just let my team handle everything and just let that be whatever it is, and stop doing things like being marketing every day for a show or like doing these things I've been doing lately. Once you have your team in lockstep with you on what they got to handle, so you can just handle your business at home, getting that right has been the hardest part for me.
That makes sense. Yeah, like everyone's working.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you have to have your eyes on everything.
As the boss, you kind of have to like find out what your boundaries are so that you can maintain
that is
time
really
for home.
tough. Yeah. No, I've been
that
learning.
applies to a lot of things. Yeah.
I've been learning a lot about that too. It's like, I hate that phrase, another whatever not trope, whatever. It's just that idea of like, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And it's like, but then you can't do everything yourself because then you're going to burn yourself
Time
out.
is very valuable.
Yeah, and I will say to what you're saying, like I haven't been in a situation where I've had to curate a full tour. Like the weight of, you know, the things you've had to take on is something I have not experienced yet. So ask me about that if it happens, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like managing a full tour, doing a Mission Ballroom thing, all that stuff. Yeah, that's a little bit more of an intense amount of responsibility and stress than I've had yet to experience. But to your question about like, you mentioned touring, like, yeah, you know, I don't want to bitch about the same stuff everybody else does, but I tell you what, flight, but it is. I mean, it like the flying and the airport nonsense and the expensiveness of it. I know you had mnemonic on, and it was funny.
For sure,
like,
It's like you're paying us to travel.
I don't even want to say it. It's all the same. Well, yeah, it's that, and it's just you do get kind of fried from the travel and the sleep and the food, and you can always make healthy choices when you're on the road and stuff. But either way, it's like you do get kind of strung out and get a little bit chippy about it, you know. It gets a little irritating, you know, but that gets kind of stressful. And then, you know, especially with if there's an infant kid not sleeping and then you're not sleeping, so obviously sleep. Shout out sleep. You got to do that shit, you know. That's important.
Took a nap today.
I'm bad at naps, bro.
No, I'm bad at napping.
Yeah.
You know what it is though? I took a nap yesterday, and then today my body was like, remember that nap from yesterday? We could do that again right now. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. That's cool.
But my phone is looking really good right now.
That's true. No, yeah, I woke up and I had like all these texts from you. I was like, oh shit, dude, I was napping. I'm
dude, but
sorry.
all the memes from the boys, I gotta look at them. You know what I mean? I gotta see the memes, dude.
I know, yeah. I want to keep this uplifting. Something I've been thinking, not just going to the tropes of like the DJ, like the whatever.
DJ, yeah. But no, you know,
some people want to hear it. You know, but
that's fair. I feel like we cover it well on this show.
It's therapy now.
It's nice to bitch about it a little bit here and there.
Yeah, dude, this is the. So tell me more. You know, I feel like this is kind of like a therapy chair.
Yeah, totally.
Therapist chair. So one thing I've been thinking about is, I think, you know, we live in this society where it's about being an individual, you know, and that's important. But I think people get a little too focused on being independent. And some people I see that are the most depressed, it's because they're in this cycle of thinking about themselves and thinking about what's wrong with them, and, you know, just like over analyzing what it is that's going on inside of them, where I feel like an easy fix to that is just getting involved with something that's greater than yourself.
Wise.
And to bring it back to like a kid, for example, it's like, yo, okay, all right. I can't just like focus and dwell on myself all the time.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about being an artist, being like, oh, I'm not going to be able to, you know, have that independence and stuff. I think it's kind of good in a sense to not just be, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Because some of those people who can just do whatever the fuck they want all the time, they're unhappy.
True.
They don't have enough responsibilities.
Yeah,
I know people like that in my life.
This will make you so much. There's like 10 times more happiness than there is like struggle, I think, with having a kid. And anyone who has had a pet that they love can relate to a degree there too. It's different when it comes from you, and there's a whole biological and spiritual thing that happens, physiological, everything. But like pets are good training for it. It's definitely harder than a pet, but I like when people get pets because they just want a little more purpose, and that's kind of a good halfway step. If you can handle that, it's probably like the right training grounds for a kid, but it is different. And I think people who I can't even imagine what it's like to not have like anything going on anymore. That would be wild. I mean, but yeah, then you get unhappy, and that's when people go join the local whatever, or church, or like a book club. And I think community is a good way to get through anything, for sure.
I'm gonna get just a little esoteric with the
get
response.
in.
Oh, he's good with this.
Yeah, so ready.
Just okay. The idea of like connecting with community to dissolve the ego, like what we're talking about here essentially is we ruminate on ourselves and the ego, and all that self-pressure and self-criticism, and it kind of can fracture or splinter off your psychic, and then that just becomes a difficult thing to manage. And we're always constantly in that state, I feel like, especially nowadays with the phones and the social media and everything. I think controversial take on the creating music and why we do kind of thing. Like, yes, I think in a lot of ways the music I make is kind of an cathartic, sort of therapeutic, bringing my own shadow or my own inner thoughts or my own curiosities or it's working with my inner worlds a lot, making music, getting it out, sort of trying to understand myself better and like what I believe and what I think. But at the end of the day, the more important thing I think that comes from it really is the connection with others and how it connects to others. We might say we make music for ourselves, because it starts that way, really, but it's how it impacts and connects and brings people together, and what kind of an impact it makes on them, and the kind of dialogue that I have with those people that matters more to me now than it. That matters much more to me than the thrills I get from performing or the accolades I get from another producer who is inspiring to me. It really is about, like, if I look at people and I see a community brought together and I see people having a curiosity invoking experience or some kind of letting go or epiphany or whatever it is that my music is doing for them, that sense of connecting with people, it just goes back to what you were saying about community. I mean, a kid focuses, makes you focus on somebody other than yourself, at the end of the day. And I think that there's a whole, there should be like a whole sort of practice around trying to push people towards community as like a therapeutic, it's just get connected with people, start making an impact on other people, develop more personal relationships and try to understand other people to help you understand yourself. Try connection, try selflessness, more, right? And I think that in and of itself is therapy. And I think music in so many ways is a fertile ground for a lot of that. And at least it is for me. Like
it's a way to color it.
Yeah. I have so many conversations with people that are just moving and inspiring. It almost makes me like tear up a little bit, because I'm like, it just, that actually is really why I do this shit at the end of the day.
A Daggz esoteric podcast would slap, by the way.
So
I think this guy could talk circles around it.
Before we got into this, we were talking some deep shit.
Yeah. I just like the question, because community, it's so important, man. You feel that people that are more charitable, shit comes to them more, the more open and more charitable, the more generous with their time they are, the more it kind of comes back. And that's cause and effect, and karmic, and there's different hermetic principles to describe what that is. But yeah, you're totally right about that, and it's important, I think.
And
that was awesome.
To slightly play devil's advocate in the sense, because I want to like just fortify this thought even more, is that I think it's very important to do the self-work and to go inward. I just think you can't live there forever.
Yeah.
You have to okay, I'm going to try to understand myself as best as possible. And then I'm going to go out and like be part of society.
The shadow work phase.
And then, there's kind of like both are helpful.
Dude, I got to shout out Jade Cicada. Did you see his post the other day? Just shout out him. He put a Substack out.
I read a little bit of it, and then, of course, I got distracted. But
but it was powerful, man. I actually truly did have a tear reading this. He's very personal. This is deep. I just recommend everybody read it. You know,
sure.
he had a Substack up. He talked about a personal experience he had with his mother. I won't get into it. I'd rather people just go explore it for themselves, but really share, you know, so you said go inner, you deal with that inner world, but then I think it's important for us to try to help other people do that too. Like if we make any breakthroughs, like share that stuff. Don't be vulnerable to a certain extent, because I think it really helps people. People want that kind of like inspiration to be open. And I think Jade what he did was like one of the best examples of that I've seen. It's very, very moving and powerful stuff. And I would love to see more people just talking about that kind of stuff, you know, because instead of needing to go to a therapist, it's like, we can do this with our own interpersonal relationships or within our community, you know, without making it always about talking about your problems all the time. I think it's just more intentional communication about what's going on a deeper level within all of us, and bringing that to the table more I think we should do that, you know.
Honestly, the communities that have come together because of the music we do are so cool, and they're very accepting on us, like in comparison to other, not that I'm drawing a comparison, but like I've heard from people time and time again, because I take it for granted sometimes, of how the communities that come together through our music culture impact people in ways that I kind of like forget that I used to have those experiences too. Like your rave family, like I don't know what it is, like connecting over music and like having the same family you camp with, like those are some people you're going to lean on for so much stuff. And then, you know, that all starts with just going out to see the shows that we do or the curated things that we create. And that's all tying to everything you guys are saying. And I think I got to like take more pride in the fact that we do that for people, because the music is really like a way to color the experience. But it's like, you never know what people are going through at the rave. And like, sometimes they'll tell you like that song or that set saved my life. And I was like,
dude,
but what?
Are you being like dramatic, or is it just that
it
that
could
is
be so real? Yeah,
just
like
real.
Getting outside the house.
It helps people like keep or restore, you know, their faith in humanity. When you go to an experience like that and you have that community, you have that connection, you're like, everything's all right. And in spite of all the division and the fear and the suffering and the, you know, the doom scrolling, it's like,
dude, I've been calling it doom mongering.
Doom-mongering.
I think that like Instagram the last week has been doom mongering.
Oh my God, it's been doom mongering for 5 years.
All the more reason to talk about
this.
You know? I think this is really good that we're talking about it, because like we on a level where we communicate from and with our music, like we're just trying to create that space for people. Because I, like you were saying earlier, and I was really moved by that, like I want to give that to people, knowing what they're dealing with every day so badly. And it's, you know, coming out of my own experience in my world and trying to like think for the community and the collective is something that I need to try to do more often because of that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of like scene bashing. And another thing I wanted to add to I think a good leader, I don't remember where I saw this or heard this, but like is able to be vulnerable.
Yeah, totally.
And that doesn't make them weak, you know? That actually makes them stronger. Maybe they shed a tear because it's a tear of joy or something.
Some of the hardest shit to do ever is deal with deep, dark emotions. Like, that's like some of the most manly shit ever. You got to dig deep. You got to get in there. And that's hard to face your insecurities and your fears and your traumas and stuff like that. Like, that's nothing, you know, there's nothing soft about that process. That's some of the hardest shit I've ever had to do personally.
Generations have been trying to repress that, but it's really so much harder to face it.
You know, running away is what that is basically when you're not dealing with it. And so, that just
way harder.
That just backfires at the end of the day.
I wish, not to get into like a political aspect, but I wish some of our leaders had a little bit more, not just compassion, but just like,
oh my God,
ability to anyway, we're not going to even go there.
We all agree though. That's for sure.
Anyway, another thing that is interesting that you brought up, that you know, it was Jade Cicada. They wrote this. It was a Substack, I've heard.
Yeah, he started writing just dealing with, you know, he was going through some personal life stuff, and he decided, you know, he was hitting some creative blocks, and he decided to move into writing and wrote about what he was dealing with. And I read it, and I think everyone should read it.
I've had a couple people start Substacks, and like reading their formulated thoughts in this thing, it's really interesting. And I was talking to another person, and they were kind of joking how like Substack is gonna be like the new podcasting.
Interesting.
Because it's an even more like personal take, and I hate to almost say this because it's like I don't want people to just flock to it as like a new methodology of whatever.
But it's writing,
promoting
this is like more improv, whereas like that it's like making a song. You're writing you're putting together an art piece for somebody.
It's for the opposite reasons. Yeah,
I think that both mediums are trying to get to an authentic place of like, just this is me as a person in some way. Obviously not all podcasts are that, but like it was interesting talking to this guy. His name's Ben. He runs this company called The Real Ones. It's like a Chicago media company, and he was like, this is something I've been seeing. And I was like, oh shit, is that the next wave? It's like Substack.
I love read. I like write. It's almost poetic. Some of it's just, it's art in its own way. I mean,
just like free flow with writing.
Maybe it would pop off. Yeah.
Think about it. And this is like every therapy thing at the end of the day is always like, what's really helpful is journaling. And I've never been a big journaler. And like, I feel like this medium, and honestly though, it's like journaling should probably almost be just for yourself.
It's gonna turn into a Tumblr,
but it's gonna I'm not saying that it's a double-edged sword, you know what I mean? Like you put yourself out there too much. There's certain things that maybe you keep to the chest, and you just you deal with that on your own,
right? Because maybe you don't really, it doesn't want to be shared because you're not really sure. I feel like at a certain point when you make that choice to share something, it's like you reach a point where you feel like you kind of got to figure it out, where you feel like communicating it is going to hit. It's going to be more cohesive. Sometimes journaling is just chicken scratch, you're just like randomly writing, fractured thoughts about something. But whereas like Substack is like, you got a story to tell, you got something you want to say, it's put together, you've kind of rehearsed it, you've taken your notes and you're putting it out there. So I can see that. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to go back to more reading instead of, not that I don't love podcasts. Shout out, Poducer podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. You guys are crushing it.
Appreciate that. I just think it's like, just like anything, writing music, recording, whatever, like, nature or something, whatever it is, like it's another thing that you can get creative with. And I think it could be cool. I'd be into it. I've been asking my community questions and then writing a response to them myself. And I'm like, it's kind of fun to put your thoughts into this little page that maybe someone's going to read.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just like a different creative muscle.
I like it.
I could get into it as well.
I love me a podcast though, don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going anywhere, but I hear you. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm going to keep doing them.
Please do.
I love, it's like radio,
Yeah, I like it.
I do like everything, like the little, like the clips that you share. Even I remember catching vectors too, and most of them will resonate with other artists, and we honestly should be able to hear everybody's perspective because we're doing our own thing so much that like perspectives help. But journaling is something I also like been trying to do, and when I did it a lot when I do it, like it feels good, but I think I go into a spell of like I gotta lock the fuck in, and I forget to do like so many things, like journal, floss.
Oh, dude, it's anytime I get advice, like I'm listening to someone and it's like, oh, that's like another thing I got to add to my day.
Yeah.
That's like another 5 minutes.
The opportunity cost, you got to think about. You're like, where's the time?
Yeah, like it would be good, but also like, am I going to do that breathing exercise?
I think it's okay to ebb and flow. Like I've got, just do chapters, maybe you do journaling for a couple months, you're getting through a tough time, maybe like when I have my next kid, maybe I'll be like, all right, I'm home, like, I'm not, I'm just being very present with my kid. Maybe I take 20 minutes. Maybe journaling hits a little bit different at that point. But if I'm like touring and cranking for music and like maybe that's not, maybe I, locking in is fine. Journaling can come in waves, I feel like, and that's fine too. You don't have to put all this pressure to, I got to journal every day.
I like stream of consciousness and knowing that like I would probably be the only person to read this. And then you just like literally go from one stream of consciousness to the other. I thought that was pretty fun because like it lets my ADD just like take a ride.
Yeah, sure.
There's like a whole thing called Morning Pages. The Artist's Way. Have you guys ever read that book?
No.
It's like it's a thing that they tell you to do to be creative. You just flush out all your random shit.
Sure.
But okay, we've been talking about some therapeutic things. I'm glad we got into the whole family thing. bringing it back to music, I think
yeah.
another thing to just like get into your origins is, who are some people that were some of those first artists that kind of got you into the idea of, hey, I want to make music? Were there any?
Down.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, you're stripping down.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah.
If I go back to the roots, I mean, in high school, I was hip hop head all day. Like I actually was. Some of my first stuff was like those dusty hip hop instrumental beats. I was listening to like like Dilla and Pete Rock and New Jabez and Fat John. Like I love that instrumental hip hop shit. Dude. Yeah. And Dilla, and like I think I was getting really. I used to freestyle, so actually, I'll try to make this short. I was in a band. I rapped in a band in high school or in college, and a little in high school. Oh no, don't look it up. I'm not even gonna tell you the name. But I was like big into. I did a lot of writing, and would do rap battles. I did all these talent shows in high school, and then in college I was in a band, and we actually got signed to a minor label, and we had this whole year and a half adventure opening for like who did we open for? Like LFO and like some random people in Buffalo.
LFO.
Yeah, we recorded music at like Inner Machine with Goo Goo Dolls. It was a whole thing. I was we were trying to be like Swayze or like Gym Class Heroes. That was the vibe. So we had like a whole band. I love all those kids. Shout out Gary and CJ and everybody else. But it was a whole. So hip hop basically. So I was really into hip hop in the beginning. Kanye, and then I kind of found like, I don't know, man, Tiesto and Daft Punk, like all that like rave, house. Daft Punk in particular was like a wave, was like a real mind grenade, So yeah, it was really like hip hop, and then into that stuff, like the kind of the Godfathers, or literally. But house and techno was kind of actually my start before I even touched bass music, because I'm a little older than most of these kids. Like this wave of experimental bass that we operate in did not exist when I was in high school. It just wasn't even a thing at all. So it took like Charles and like, I don't know, Flume and EPROM, like some of these guys kind of like bringing, making it more of a scene or whatever for me to like get that itch to start going in that direction, which didn't even happen until I was like 24, 25. So it was all house and techno for years for me. Like I just did that locally at clubs and venues. I worked at a club for like 4 or 5 years and just did that exclusively before I even touched bass music. So
like DJing at the club or just working? Yeah. Okay.
DJing, dude, we had at Pearl Nightclub in Rochester, we used to have huge house, Green Velvet, Bonobo, Alex Metric, Fetty Legrand. We had these huge artists come through, and I love
Bonobo. Dude.
Yeah. It's, so like I had this whole like alternative DJ life before I even thought about bass music, and it was all house and techno and like that scene. I was go to the Toronto at the Government and go to these like all night raves.
Is that a
Molly.
venue? The Government?
You never heard of the Government, dude?
No.
I like they would do 24-hour raves. Like Dead Mouse and Marcus Schultz would do these like extended trance sets, and I was like,
at the
20, 21, going up just ripped, Comfort Zone. You ever heard of these places?
Anyway. Dude, no.
I haven't.
In Toronto?
Yeah, Toronto. Bro. So Toronto's an hour 45 from me. So I didn't go to New York very much. Well, I've been plenty, but growing up raving, I would go to Toronto all the time. That was kind of like my thing. Yeah.
Word. Okay, cool. Thank you for breaking that down. Giving us the lay of the land. Yeah. How about you? I know you were metal and you also played guitar a lot.
Yep.
No, I didn't know that actually.
So I was doing the metal band thing in high school, and then I kind of just put it down, brought my guitar with me to college, and I still played. And I would be like finding people to just jam with every once in a while. My brother was a drummer, so we just really got into kind of like just wanted to be in a band all the time and play classic rock that we heard from our parents. That really got me started, just classic rock. And then Guitar Hero got me like, all right, I can do this. Let's pick it up. I want to do the real thing.
I was so bad at that shit.
Yeah, the buttons weren't enough. I was trash too. Yeah.
I used to be able to play expert.
Smoke me, dude.
I went and played on the Tape B tour, and Natalia smoked everybody. We were all like, yeah, you're full of shit. You're not going to play us guitar players. And she expert modes destroyed us.
Damn. Through the fire and flames type deal.
And then so I don't have that kind of muscle memory anymore, but I've always loved guitar, did the band thing, went into heavy metal. I remember like I would just chase the music that made me want to lift heavy, because I was a big like gym like head in college at Michigan State. And then I got out of that, like my senior year, broke up with a girl, needed to just like switch things up, started to have like more of that like Mr. Carmack, Zed's Dead, Benny Benassi, all of those, like they were just trickling into my Pandora feed. Remember Pandora?
Oh yeah.
Sure. So I would
Pandora's
just be studying.
still good. I'm not gonna lie.
Is it? It's just always been.
It's not
consistent.
as like the algorithm of it is.
They were the
I feel like
first.
you find good
they were the
music
first.
on it.
Yeah, but that's how I found all of it. It would just like trickle into my like study. I was listening to like Radiohead, and all of a sudden it was just like,
Pandora's a way better name than Spotify, by the way.
yeah.
I wish
I don't
Pandora
like
just
the name.
crushed
Yeah,
it.
Spotify-
Pandora's box and just music comes out of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's way cooler.
It was on point with that. I started to just like, all of a sudden I found myself listening to BBC Radio 1 mixes, because that was like, if I just went on that SoundCloud, I would find Nero, Zed's Dead, like Barclay Crenshaw,
Diplo.
the Pete Tong BBC Radio 1 mixes really like was my education into what bass music is, and all the heroes we have now were crushing those mixes, and I was like, I remember trying to download like less than 320 kbps versions of everything off of SoundCloud, and just like people's early mashups and everything. And then I met some friends who DJ'd in my senior year at like one of the bars in Michigan State, and I was like, I want to try this. So they like kind of just like brought me on. I was just kind of like floating around the DJ booth,
Maybe
and,
like twisting a knob.
getting to know it. I bought my own version of that, and then I like got through my hard senior classes, and I had a year, right? I had a semester that was like, I got through my final like capstone classes, and then I had maybe like the spring of my senior semester is just boxing, literally only boxing.
I could see you being good. You're kind of lanky.
Yep.
Yeah.
I took boxing 1, and we got into it a little bit, but I should have continued that. It would have been fun. But I had like such senioritis that I just picked up DJing, and then started hearing all these songs that would be like, this is fun to mix. So I just kind of found it by going to a few shows. I went to that Skrillex show and the Claude Von Stroke show, but then I was like about to graduate, and then I just like graduated, started my full-time job, but I would go back on weekends to Michigan State, because now I was one of the DJs at Rick's. And for anyone who goes to State, they'll know exactly how ratchet that place is and amazing.
Shout out
I was
Rick's.
the one, Rick's and Harper's.
Sounds like such a college.
Yeah,
bar,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
The floors
But probably
were sticky,
pretty lit.
bro.
Wait, what school did you say you went to again?
Michigan State.
Michigan's. Oh yeah, so I'm sure that was crazy.
Yeah, Big Ten lit, and we started playing fraternities because my brother was in a fraternity, and like doing tailgates. And so I was the guy who was ripping stuff off SoundCloud and trying to play it at peak parts of the night, and almost getting fired because I wasn't playing enough Drake or like whatever, like the top 40 stuff.
Got to make sure you play enough Drake. Rule number 1.
Back in 2010,
Oh my God,
2013,
dude.
14, 15. And
Couldn't
then like
escape it.
all of a sudden the Jack U like album comes out. I'm
good
like
era.
throwing that
That
back
was a good
in.
era.
And then I leave that post, and then they're calling me back to be like, hey, remember like that stuff you used to play? Like people really like it now. I was like, oh, you mean the one I almost got fired for playing like 4 times? Like, let's see. I'm doing this now. And playing at those bars would be really fun at this point. I don't even think anyone would know who I am.
Let's
it's
do
just
it.
college
Let's
bars.
do a show. Hit them up.
See, like
let's-
tailgates, college parties. I would
pull
do
up.
a college party.
We'll just play Richard Finger the whole time.
Yeah,
We'll go off.
wow. Dude,
Shout out Richard Finger. dude.
now colleges love that, but when you go and
Tate
play in
P
a
and
college
Richard
town,
Finger?
like when you'd go play in a college town, there would be like crickets. But now people fucking love it. But yeah, that's the origin story. And then I picked up like classes while I was working full time, and by like 2016, this is my 10th year, I like took an Ableton course and started putting out music in 2016.
Nice.
And then the rest is fucking history. Started as future bass because super
Oh, yeah.
future.
I started as future
yeah.
bass too.
That was that time. It was like 2015, 16.
That was
Future
free
bass
your
and
mind,
trap,
dude.
baby.
If it wasn't
Yeah.
for, it was like all about me trying to
I miss
copy
it.
Boombox Cartel in Cali.
And
It was like, how do I make
Quicks,
Quicks,
Boombox,
how
they-
do I
they had
make
the
like
hits.
the super saw like Boombox Cartel? I remember when they started nailing that style of shit. I was like, bro, I need to figure this out.
Supernatural and
But
like,
then Flume kind of really just changed the game for me. Like all
Yeah.
those like edits like that, you know, like Helix. When I first heard Helix, I was like,
oh yeah,
my
I
brain
still live
exploded.
out of Electric Forest 2015 Flume set on acid. I still relive that a lot.
Hell yeah.
Is
Purple
Helix
everywhere.
this? We're not at the.
Dude, that shit is
that one's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
Is that the this is Flume mixtape era,
No,
or this is
before.
before? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree though. Flume. It's funny. I think
Changed
I
the
started
game.
producing around the same time too, and those were all huge inspirations. Yeah, future bass.
Yeah.
We don't even have to do the origin story of your name now, because that makes sense.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Is there another part? Just a really quick.
Yeah.
The Future.
There was a lot of people think it's because of Future and how he had the super Future alter ego. So I still get like hate. I get hate DMs being like, "You think you're ripping Future stuff?" I'm like, I'm happy this is just the request folder. Yeah. Sorry, I know Waka Flocka now. So the other part of the name, Dallas K had a song called Super Future. And I thought that really rolled off the tongue, and I was like, Super Future sounds like it could be like Better Tomorrow, and I like that kind of outlook, and I'll just kind of roll with that. And then Future Bass was my first love. My first tracks were like Moonbaton and Future Bass.
That's what was like Dylan Francis and
crazy.
I don't give a fuck or shit.
Yeah,
that era was so fun, man.
Dude, I tell you, it was a trip to see, shout out Tynan, but I'm on Forest Fields Festival this year, and my name is next to Dylan Francis. I just remember seeing that, and I was like, what, dude? Like,
that's awesome.
22-year-old me would be like, and again, I'm 35, so 22-year-old me is a long time ago. But that, it's trippy. It's like really, because Dylan Francis also was another, his whole thing was that whole style was also a huge thing. I used to play that shit all the time at the
What's
bars
that one,
and
like
clubs.
Boombox Fireworks or something? Fireworks
like
bootleg and like the stuff with
he was
DJ
so
Snake.
sick, so sick, and he's still sick, and he's funny. Dylan Francis is a goat for sure.
You see a lot of people just have to go the house route because that's just like what the world in general, my majority wants. But like, I really want more trap Dylan Francis, which is happening.
Yeah,
he's doing it.
Is it interesting? Cool.
Nothing can beat what he did before. Sorry, but maybe he'll
we'll see what happens. Yeah.
I'll keep an open mind.
He'll go Von Deeper. No, I don't know. That's
I
the
remember
other way.
that too.
I love all that shit. I think that
Yeah.
was all so good. I was so thoroughly entertained by that whole thing.
So let me ask you this, because it's like, okay, there's definitely, and I'm keeping track of the time too. We gotta,
Nah, you were good. I think.
But it's interesting. You were bringing up like how if you played for a college party and you played Richard Finger and Tape P,
just because it's
all of that,
fun and lit. That's why. Because people would just go nuts for it. Because it's just you can't not.
You're damn right.
Have emotions evoked listening to that shit. To me, it's just so fun, and I think it just
they like the wonky shit now.
Yeah, but I think that is in the ethos of like people, even like like you work a corporate job, your boss might know levity. You know what I mean? And it's like somehow that's trickled into their
base trickonomics.
Yeah.
Trickonomics.
It's like lighthearted and fun though, man. I think it's just refreshing that it's like
they do it so
some
well
of that
for
stuff.
That
it's a real relief. It's a real just like it doesn't need to be this super serious, crazy thing. But I think with what Richard does with sound design, the production is serious. Obviously, it's like they're making fire shit, but. It's just the energy of it and the fun and the memification of it and the humor injected into it is so refreshing, and it doesn't really exist in a lot of other projects. So it's just very infectious in that way.
Yeah.
And it offers people that kind of...
The boys are very funny.
A different level of reprieve, I think, that like other electronic music isn't really doing. I just love a good, funny... I like a little humor, man. We need more of it, I feel like, in bass music.
People used to think that I was Richard Finger, and I'm like, I'm not that funny. I'm not that funny. They're wild. They're cracked.
No, I'm way too serious to be Richard Finger.
I guess
I love it though.
I guess if we're just looking at like the overall like taste for bass music, it feels high right now. Like that a lot of people know about it.
Totally.
Like normies. So
it's one of the most meteoric rises of all time.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
It's a crazy
for good
come
reason.
up for
fucking bass music fucks.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
But it's just it's pretty epic, I would say.
You see like this. I saw someone's post recently, and I couldn't help responding in a comment. I think it was like Star Fox or something. Like, there's such a range of like DJs who are heads and they have their cult following, and then there's people who are like in between that and like mainstream. What I would call mainstream is like what the normies we were talking about. Like, no disrespect, but they're listening to
not to be disrespectful.
They're just listening to like what the top people are doing, like the headbangers and what Levity and Tape B are doing, and I love that because they're drawing in so many people to what we do. But I loved seeing the progression of someone who's found them to going down the rabbit hole and finding headier and headier producers. And we're like right in the middle, so like we kind of exist where we could do either one of those. And we're like at the top where a lot of us are friends who are doing these things right now, and it's fun to see what different crowd responses have for like the heady stuff, and like, oh, you played G Jones for that one that didn't really go well, but then you start playing some Richard Finger and it goes crazy. So like testing the waters in cities that have like an appetite for both, like Chicago, we're going to see a full range of that tonight, I think, because Chicago's got heads, and like I know you know them.
Oh, it's going to be a range tonight, all right.
Yeah, we're going to be on that range.
Yeah, no.
Turning that range up.
Chicago, because I feel like it doesn't matter where you start in electronic music. It can be like the house, like whatever, all that stuff we were talking about earlier, and then you get into bass music. Like the people right now are maybe getting into bass music, and then they'll find house and other stuff, and it's like
that's the natural way.
Doesn't really matter. Yeah, either way. Yeah, we might have done it a little backwards there.
No, it's different for everyone's journey, but everyone always ends up at house.
Yeah, right.
I wish I could remember the name.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's like you just get older, and then
it's just universal. House is just it's everywhere. It's such a I mean, it's an international thing. It's everywhere. House music and
house is universal. It's great. It's great for that. Like global sound, like should be consistent 4 on the 4. Like like the 110 to 120 tempos. Like I think everybody can vibe to that.
I'll make a house music alias someday. Once bass music feels like I've reached my creative limit, I'm going to pivot and start.
I don't want to make house because I want to be able to go to a house show and not think about it.
Nah, I want to make it.
Oh, you don't want to be analyzing it. And
I don't make
analyze everything anyway. There's no avoiding that.
I can't. My brain already does that.
I already does that.
Depends how much weed
I already be doing that. But yeah, I definitely, it's been kind of a little bit of a scheme of mine to go into that, have that like later down the road. So
he's going down the natural progression.
Yeah. Order is
the order is restored. Entropy exists.
Exactly. Full circle. Yep.
I'm trying. Okay, so we gotta kind of wrap up here. One thing I wanted to ask before we get you guys out of here is like what's new and exciting for your guys' project? Is there anything that people should be looking out for, or just something you've been thinking about that you want to try out in the studio, something you want to do for tour? If there is anything, or you're just grinding.
Sure. All I can think about right now is this EP I was just finishing. That will be out on Bass Rush soon, so I'm excited to put out some more bass. But as soon as I start doing a lot of bass, my ear wants to just like go write some more down tempo. So it'll always be this cycle for me where like I write a lot of bass. That's a lot of fun and have a good time doing it, playing it live. Had a good run of this tour, but then every other year, what I'm going to do is that 2-set tour where I have like a party set and then down tempo set, because like I need both for balance. So
do the people, I think.
And that's why I love to do it. You never really see how that impacts people unless you've done like 2 in one night or like a 2-day run where I've done 1 or 2 of those. But I'm excited for all the Super Features bass music, the party shit, and then the down tempo wave to follow it for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna have. I've seen a down. I don't think I've seen one of your hyphier sets actually. I've only seen down tempo sets.
Really?
I saw one at Soundhaven.
Oh, that's where I started. Yeah,
and then
Sunrise.
At Big Fam.
Yeah,
that late night one. Yeah, right after Zen.
That's where we got to meet at Big Fam. Yeah, I really love those because I can really go places with it. And I feel like it's more artistic for me. That's like my most artistic way of doing sets. And I'll always be down to do them at festivals or after parties, or you might find one just randomly, but they'll always be happening. And I focus on my harder stuff for a year, and then I go back to doing both because I secretly want the artistic flow and the balance. You got to have something where you're just like putting all of your artistic flow into it. Whether it is like, and then on the same token, you should have stuff that's kind of like a little bit more stripped down and easier to digest, or just like this, like the Waka Flocka flip. Like it's just a straight bass, solid bass line, and in a party, like having both helps. Like your fan base is kind of, you can reach more people and also have a pretty dynamic set. But before I just like talk about that, I'll save that for the next podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's hear some Daggz.
It's interesting. I kind of relate a lot with like needing to juxtapose or bounce back and forth between like the future bass sound juxtaposing. But the idea of like going into the moodier, earthier world bass, future bass stuff, and then going into like I love me some rhythm and some dubstep and whatever else. So yeah, I mean the spread right now is pretty broad. Like it's we have a shout out Qualia. It's me and the boys started like a little collective,
Sick
and
one.
it's kind of a label, and it's me, Chimura, Location, Commissar, Fern, and Saturna.
Really good
and
stuff.
you know, we curate you know, compilations, and we do releases on our label. We do festival takeovers and shows, and we wrote an EP in Montana. Basically 6 days we were there. We just like cranked a bunch of tunes when we were there and kind of finished them up. And it was kind of a cool like writer retreat type of thing. But what was cool about it is like
nice.
all the things that we made, we just finished. So it was like we kind of pushed ourselves to just like, all right, well, we're writing here. We're going to make it, you know, we're going to finish them up and put them out. So some of it kind of leans down tempo. Some of it's like world based, you know, it's very different than like a lot of the other stuff that's going to come out this year. So that's coming out next week, actually, the 19th or something. So Friday.
Sick,
so there's 3 of us on each track for that. It's cool. Aside from that, me and Enzo have a tune that's going to go out in his EP in like a month or so, I would say, pretty soon. Yeah, he's playing tonight too, so you know,
we'll go find him.
Yeah, we'll find him after. So that one's sick. I mean, there's a lot of collabs and shit in the vault right now with like a bunch of people I'm excited about. Gonna try to dump a bunch of music out this year. I'm working on this, so I've always had this plan. I'm finished with this. From the minute I started my project, I want to have the darkness, the cosmos, and the light. Those are the 3 EP concepts. So I have the darkness, I've done the cosmos, and the light is kind of the final chapter in that. So darkness is like slow, slurky, evil, unsettling. The cosmos is like psychedelic, spacey, wondrous, mystic. And then the light EP is going to be very like cinematic and future based oriented, like very like epic and, you know, just kind of, you know, somewhere like more like what Enzo is kind of doing. Yeah. It's like kind of on
like
that
uplifting type of deal.
Yeah,
he's so good at doing both,
but dramatic, and it'll be like kind of a journey. You know, it's like the final chapter in the series. So you've got the darkness, the in between the cosmos and the light, and it's kind of the full spectrum of the human experience. And that's kind of the, I don't know, it fits into a lot of the spiritual stuff that I study and read a lot about. And it's got Hermeticism and sort of Gnostic ideologies kind of infused in all of it, and that's the sort of the chapter to kind of round out that series of EPs. Kind of makes an album. It's like the darkness, the cosmos, and the light. Yeah, so it's interesting. That's kind of been the plan since the very beginning. Since I started it, I was like, this is going to be something I do, and I've kind of been sticking to it, which is pretty sick. So.
Yeah, good for seeing it through.
That's you've seen it through. I mean, almost. We're not there yet, but I'm working on that right now. So that's kind of the body of work that is more intentional. The rest of it's just a lot of collabs, a lot of just random stuff, you know, a bunch of dubstep that I'm kind of sitting on right now. So
I admire you because like I tried to do like esoteric and hermetic and all these like different things that I'd internalized over my like spiritual journey in the last like 10 years. But it never really like came through in my brand, but I think it's really cool how you do it. Like as
your whole but you've got your own whole cool brand identity going on. You've landed on it yourself. This is kind of what manifested for me. But you know, a lot of the goats, like shout out just like, you know, Easy Baked and Of the Trees and Enzo and all these people that do these, like they build communities, they build worlds, they build attitudes and lifestyles and catchphrases. I mean, these people don't just make music, they make
something for a community to just like be a part of.
They make a whole world, man. Yeah. They make a whole like lifestyle mindset, you know, the whole thing is that, you know. And so I aim for that. Yeah, mindset. Shout out, I finally swiped one of his hats last night after our back-to-back in Denver. Yeah. But yeah, man, those are always my favorite. My favorite artists are the ones that do shit like that. You know, they do. It's more than just music. It's a whole
world building, community building. Music is the glue.
Yeah, shout out all that type shit. And like All the Trees, dude, the park stuff he's doing is so fire.
Shout out all that type shit for real.
Yeah, type beat.
Agreed.
All right, well, we got to get out of here, but I wanted to. I have a wrap up question that I normally do. We're gonna save it for another time, which is a good sign of a good pod.
Okay.
Any shout outs you guys want to do? I know you just shouted out some artists, but
shout
like
out
anyone
you for
else.
Having us.
Yeah,
hey,
shout out you.
Appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
I don't do that question just to get that, but I appreciate it. Just anyone who's been like, you know, pivotal in your career, just someone who's like you couldn't do it without.
Yeah, man, I don't know, just all the boys, dude. Like I feel very grateful that all of my personal relationships that have manifested through music just are all like people who are legends, you know? It's like I don't have to play pretend with anybody in the industry that I'm connected with. They're all the boys, you know, and girls and everybody. So it's literally you know, it's like I feel like some industries maybe you got to force it a little bit sometimes with certain people, you know. I don't feel that way at all with my immediate circles, you know, which is dope. So grateful for that for sure.
deep down, we're just nerds connecting.
Yeah.
Real. That's so real. Yeah.
Some people put an ego in front of it, but it's so unnecessary. But lately, been feeling grateful for. I'm happy that I keep doing shows with you. I'll always have you around. My dad brother.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Shout out Closey. We just announced
shout
like a
out
really
Closey.
sick. She's one of the coolest for sure. Like there's a lot of cool people that I could sit here and name, but she's always like consistently looked out, and like I see her at every Denver show I have, and she like. I put out music on her label. I know you do.
Dude, I guess I got to shout out her too. Without her, I mean, she single-handedly fucking, started a lot of my career for me, So yeah,
Same.
Absolutely shout out Chloe. What a legend. Yeah.
I've been just like thinking about her a lot lately. Shout out our significant others.
Oh God,
our girls.
Big shout.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dude.
Every
Oh my
fucking
God.
day. The girls, the ladies, they deserve it all. Our
greatest
partners.
woman I've ever met, for sure. Thank God for her and our child.
I'd be a
Shout
piece
out
of
all.
poop
Yeah.
without her.
Hell yeah. Well, sick. Thank you guys. And thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. And thank you guys for listening. If you've made it this far, we'll catch you next time.
I'm like looking in the corner, like where are they?
Where is everyone?
Where are they?
They're everywhere.
Are they in the room with us now?
Spiritually, yes.
Spiritually.
We have the cube. Speak through
Oh
it.
yeah.
Hell yeah, we did it, boys.
That was good.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is your host, Jerry. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's someone you'd like to see on the show, leave a comment below. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, we'd appreciate it if you leave a review and hit that 5-star rating. Thank you for your support, and we'll catch you on the next one.